We rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic which stands one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Stranger things that we know.
Good evening. I want to welcome everyone to the regular public meeting of the Lower Gwinnett Township Board of Supervisors for Tuesday, December 9th, 2025. The Board of Supervisors did meet in executive session prior to tonight's meeting to discuss matters of real estate related to easements and road right-of-ways, potential litigation related to code enforcement, and matters of personnel. Before we get started, I wanted to congratulate Lower Gwinnett Township volunteer and resident Dick Target for receiving the 2025 National Philanthropic Day Award for the Greater Philadelphia chapter of the Association of Fundraising Professionals in the category of Outstanding Individual Philanthropist. Congratulations, Mr. Target. In addition, I wanted to congratulate Folkways for receiving Montgomery County's 2025 Charles J. Tornetta Planning Advocate Award for their sustainability planning, environmental stewardship, and community engagement. The encompassing projects and practices embedded throughout the property of 130 acres and in the residents' daily lives. So congratulations to Folkways. I'm going to turn it over to Officer Sharkey. Oh, there you are, right in front of us. For a brief presentation by the police department.
This thing on?
I think so.
Hello.
There it is.
All right. I'm going to give a brief presentation on e-bikes and the problems that they are beginning to have and the laws that are stuff with them. If you want to go to the next slide, next one. According to Pennsylvania Vehicle Code Consolidated Statutes of Title 75, a pedicycle with electric assist, otherwise known as an e-bike, a vehicle weighing not more than 100 pounds with 2 or 3 wheels more than 11 inches in diameter, manufactured or assembled with an electric motor system rated at not more than 750 watts and equipped to operate with operable pedals capable of a speed not more than 20 miles an hour on any level surface when powered by a motor source only. Next slide, please. This is PennDOT's PA Micromobility Fact Sheet. On the e-bike section, you must be 16 years of age or older to operate an e-bike on the streets. You do not need a driver's license. You do not need registration. If you want to flip to the next one, thank you. It says right there, they must weigh less than 100 pounds. They must not have more of motor power than 750 watts. They must have operable pedals. They are not capable of going faster than 20 miles an hour. This is where the problem is. As you see on my highlighting, many of the new e-bikes are more powerful and faster than permitted. And unfortunately, most of the kids riding them are under 16 years of age. Also, on a side note, electric scooters are not permitted on any public roads. That's PennDOT. This one is class 1, 2, and 3. Class 1 and 2 e-bikes have pedal assist and go max speed of 20 miles an hour. Class 3 goes to 28 miles an hour, which is unacceptable on Pennsylvania roadways. There are class 4 and higher e-bikes, but they are considered a motobike, so you must have a driver's license, registration, and insurance to be able to drive them on Pennsylvania roadways. Next, please. You can go to the next one. U.S. sales have reached an all-time high of 6.4 million in 2025, up over a million from 2021. This is an important one here. 20% of e-bikes are well over 750 watts, which are not street legal. The high-powered bikes, class 3 and up, are the quickest growing segment on the e-bike market. Most of these bikes are being modified by their owners to exceed the legal speed limit and power limits. E-bike makers restrict the motors to only 750 watts. Problem is you can change that by apps or if you have computers or know how to make them faster. A 28-mile-an-hour bike needs 2 times the power as the 20-mile-an-hour bike. So, I mean, you're getting up into 3,000 watts and stuff like that. So, you can. Where you can operate them. Compliant e-bikes are permitted on roads and bike lanes where bicycles are allowed. State parks and forests on land managed by the Pennsylvania Department of Conservation and Natural Resources. They are allowed on trails open to conventional bikes only. Local regulations, it depends on boroughs, townships, and whatever regulations they would make up. Next one, please. This is what Lower Gwinnett Police is looking to do in our community. We would like to reach out on the township and police department social media sites to educate, put it into our township newsletters, utilize Wissahick and Gwinnett Mercy school districts, their networks to get it to the kids, get it to the parents. Education is going to be the biggest thing. We're working with making informational flyers. I'm going to do this, and we're going to have flyers at our Coffee with Cop events, our Kona with Cop events in the summer. We get a lot of kids in the neighborhoods. We get a lot of kids in the grocery stores or wherever else we may have Kona or cops that will have these papers to hand to the parents. Education is obviously where it's at. So next one, please. Positive reinforcement. The police department can use a balanced approach, offering warnings or educational referrals for first-time offenders. This is also important because it educates the community without being overly punitive, going at it hard right away. Next one, please. This is all falls under Section 35 of the Pennsylvania Vehicle Code. It says that, upon conviction, you could be sentenced to pay a fine of $10 or more. Section 3514, operation of petacycles with electric assist, says that you must be 16 years of age or older to operate them on a roadway. Driving on sidewalks is not permitted in business districts or local ordinance prohibiting. 3314, you are not allowed to wear headphones or earbuds while operating a petacycle or an e-bike. E-bike riders must obey all traffic signals and stop signs. Fine for these violations would be the same as a motor vehicle operator, which can be significantly higher, up to $300. Another important part of that is that parents can also be charged for these violations. Next one, please. Some of the important safety things that we're going to need to get out into the public is know your bike, understand its power, understand its weight. What is the stopping distance? When you're traveling at 20 miles an hour, it's not going to stop like if you were pedaling an old school regular pedaling bike. That becomes the problem. Visibility. Visibility is a very big problem. People aren't wearing bright clothes, vests, or anything like that. They're wearing dark clothes. They're out when they shouldn't be out. They're not seen. They should really want to be well lit, visible. Ride predictably, straight lines, signal turns, which nobody does anymore. Be mindful of other road users, share trails. Use a bell, alert pedestrians that you're coming. We don't need people getting hurt. Obviously, you got the 4-foot rule when it comes to vehicles passing bikes. Next one, please. Maintain safe speeds at all times. Consider trail road conditions, weather conditions, and anything cognizant of other riders. Stay to the right, pass to the left. Let others know you are coming. Use the warning device. Limit distraction. Don't impair your hearing. They're not allowed to wear earbuds. They are responsible, and they are responsible to follow all the road signs, slow down congested areas. They must yield to pedestrians just like motor vehicles. Helmets are required if you are 12 years or under. When bikes are on the roadway, this is even for pedal bikes, you must maintain single file when either passing or being passed. So even with regular pedal bikes, you have to move over into a single lane. This is the biggest one. Expect the unexpected. Humans and animals are very unpredictable. And I don't know which one's worse. So, but I think that's it, right? Yep, that's it.
So can I just do a brief recap?
Sure.
Because it was a lot in a very short period of time. But if you're operating an e-bike, you called it a petacycle?
They called a petacycle, that's why I wanted to write down their exact term. It's a petacycle with electric assist,
Okay.
what they call an e-bike.
So you need to be 16 years or older if it goes up to 20 miles per hour.
You have any petacycle that you want to, an e-bike that you want to operate, you must be 16 years
You
old.
have to be 16 years.
Yes.
And so so an e-bike that goes over 20 miles per hour
Is illegal in
is not
Pennsylvania.
permitted on the roads.
Is not, you can ride them on private property.
Okay.
You are not permitted on a public roadway, state, well, obviously you're not allowed on state highways because
Yeah.
they're no-nos, but
So
16 years.
So if it goes faster than 20 miles per hour, you have to have a driver's license.
If it goes over 20 miles an hour, it's considered like a moped or something like that. The higher class e-bikes are known as moto-bikes. They normally do not have pedals on them,
Okay.
and you have to be licensed, insured, and registered.
Okay. Not have a driver, you license, insured. and
You need to
registered.
have all
Okay.
the above.
Operate a motorcycle-ish type of.
It's basically almost considered,
A motorcycle.
according to PennDOT, it's not a moped because that's a whole different mess, or
Mhm.
segways or stuff like that. But
Okay.
all right.
Any additional questions from the board?
Officer Sharkey, I know you said one of the steps moving forward was to use the schools
Mhm.
to get this information out to parents. I would just suggest or ask that we prioritize that. I know the school district sends emails pretty frequently, and sometimes it's like a newsletter and it'll have a "Did you know?"
Mhm.
If we could just the message that it's straight up illegal for kids under 16 to be on these bikes. I think a lot of parents don't know that. I know a lot of parents don't know that.
I was going to say, I think it's more of no, that they have no idea.
Yeah.
I would like to utilize the school district's email system to their parents, but I would also like to utilize, if I could, with them. They have, like, Wissahickon has a cable channel, like for the
Mhm.
school and everything. I'd
Yeah.
like to get that on there. I
Yeah.
would like I said, we're working on an informational flyer that I'll be able to hand out with our Coffee with Cops, with our
Mhm.
school stuff, that'll have everything on there. Hopefully they'll be able to send it to all the students or parents that says, it's basically a quick punch list of everything that's going on
Yeah.
with the e-bikes and what you can or cannot do, because a lot of them are putting money into these bikes
Mhm.
and they're making them extremely illegal and extremely dangerous for even an experienced rider to be able to do. And they're not going to understand when they're doing 40 miles an hour on a roadway and it's wet. It's not going to stop in 3 feet.
I just did an Amazon search and like the top 3 bikes go up to 28 miles an hour.
Oh, yeah. And there's some bikes that go 50
Yeah.
and very easily, and they don't understand the power, and parents are just throwing money into these e-bikes and
Yeah.
have no
And it's
idea
the
what the
holidays
danger.
and people are, it's time.
Oh,
for
this is the perfect
big
time for it.
presents, so it's a good time to,
Yeah.
well, thank you. Thank you
You're very welcome.
for doing
Yeah,
that.
thank you. I think I learned a lot tonight, so I appreciate it. And I think this is great information to spread. Thank you.
You're very welcome.
I think I'm glad that you're doing this. You're going to put this presentation up on police social media, or we're
Yep.
going to put it on the township
I'm
social
gonna-
media?
We're going to hopefully get it up and get it, information, and get a lot of the stuff in the newsletter, as well as, like I said, we're going to make up a good flyer that we're going to constantly be handing out, because the education is very important, because parents don't know. They just think, it's cool, an e-bike go.
Mhm.
Just appreciate you putting this together, coming up with a plan, and please keep us abreast of the success as far as the engagement with the community.
Absolutely.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Oh, you can.
According to Pennsylvania, an
Can you take
electric.
her the microphone?
Oh, I'm sorry.
Or repeat it?
She's asking about electric scooters
Mhm.
and being them on the roadway. Electric scooters, according to Pennsylvania Department of Transportation, you cannot have on a public roadway. So all those ones that you see racing all over the place doing 20 some miles an hour, according to PennDOT, they're not permitted on the roadway. I mean, they don't even want to class them. So anything else?
Any additional questions from the public? If you could just state your name, I'm sorry.
Shardy. My name's Maggie Fillinger, 1020 Tintern Drive. We have called the police about 3 times about these bikes on the trail. Usually it's a Friday, Saturday night event. And they make a lot of noise and they really move at a high speed. Our street is a private street in the reserve at Trewellen, and we have chased them. So how are you going to enforce this? The police come, and when the police come, they're gone. They're vanished over to the States or somewhere else.
To answer your question is if we have to be able to actually get them to address
Definitely.
the issue, but if they're not around, I mean, they normally look around and stuff like that. So until we actually get our eyes and hands to be able to discuss them with them, it's very hard for us to go after something that we have not been able to catch or get a hold of or talk to. So, I mean, that's something that we can work on. Obviously, we don't want them creating hazards on the trails and stuff like that. So.
Well, they are. I have 2 dogs, and I mean, they go flying past you. You have to jump over into the woods to avoid these characters.
Absolutely. It shouldn't, they're not acting responsible.
Yeah, and we have called the police, but by the time the police get, they've disappeared. Recently, there was an accident with one of these bikes, I believe,
Yes.
at
there
Evans
is.
Road.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Was that one of these electric bikes?
Unfortunately, I can't really discuss that because that's still under investigation at this time.
Okay, but it is a big problem, I know, in our
Oh,
developments.
absolutely. It is
Okay.
a problem. Yes. And
So
like
we
I
call the
said,
police?
Yeah, I still continue to call the police.
Okay,
We get out there and hopefully we are able to get our eyes on them and talk to them and find out who they are, where they're from, talk to the parents, educate them as well. But we have to be able to actually make contact with them.
okay, thank
Okay?
you.
You're very welcome.
Thank you so much, Officer Sharkey. And while we appreciate your presence and the presentation tremendously, you don't have to stay with us if you don't choose to. Next up is public comment, citizens' comments, questions, concerns on items not on the agenda. Seeing none, come on up. You just have to state your name and address.
I'm Eric Rudolph, 537 Montgomery Road. And I'd like to respond to the solicitor's letter regarding the middle school HVAC noise issue. We'll provide a point-by-point response to the letter via email, but I'd like to talk about some of the items here. One, the township has responsibility to enforce the Pennsylvania Unified Construction Code, as well as the township ordinance. The chiller installation included building code violations, we believe. The township has responsibilities to enforce the Pennsylvania Unified Construction Code, and we believe that the alterations cannot make a building less safe. That is in 403.42. The permit issued by Lower Gwinnett for the current chiller was listed as a replacement, but it was clearly an alteration. It was a water-cooled chiller operating quietly inside a building for decades. And now it is an air-cooled chiller located outside the building. The new chiller was located outdoors in full sun, adjacent to handicap parking, a bus loading area, and the unloading area and the special needs classroom, truck loading area, with no segregation from the public. These alterations made the school less safe for everyone. The recently installed sound fence was approved by Lower Gwinnett Township on a zoning permit as a fence. Isn't this actually an alteration? We believe it's an alteration because it affects the safe and effective operation of the chiller. In this case, by restricting airflow and making the chiller run hotter, harder, and louder than it was designed to operate. Was this considered when issuing the permit? Did the fire marshal go and investigate this? Did he inspect the new sound fence? Per the chiller's installation instructions for this chiller model, the unit was installed incorrectly. The manual states the location should be selected for minimum sun exposure. The unit is located in direct sun. The installation operating and maintenance guide also says when units are installed in an enclosure, the enclosure height should not exceed the height of the unit on more than one side. The enclosure now exceeds the height of the unit on 3 sides. There are 2 walls that are 35 feet high, and the sound fence is 14 feet high. This allows discharge air to recirculate into the condenser, which makes the chiller run hotter, harder, and louder than it was designed to operate. The air cannot recirculate freely. This is a hot box situation and a fire hazard. And your letter states that you're not responsible for looking at this from the Unified Construction Code perspective. We believe you are. Township also told us to pursue our grievance as a nuisance and not as an ordinance violation. Our neighbors have made 38 police reports reporting this nuisance, and we have gathered over 100 signatures on a petition stating that the signers don't agree with the township's sound conclusions. They include my friends that have come with me from the neighborhood, and actually several people within this audience are here to talk about Ambler Yards. The Metropolitan Acoustic Studies was claimed to be objective and scientific. We believe it was not objective nor scientific because there was no sound propagation reported. The basic rules for these studies is to start 3 feet from the chiller to know what the source levels are, and then measure as you go out to the lot boundary. That was not performed or not reported. Further, this testing was done, no testing was done closer to the school, such as on the playing fields or the parking area where the students congregate. Metropolitan Acoustics took readings at only 2 locations, which were the furthest locations from the school. In order to have a valid study, you have to have multiple samples in multiple locations. This was demonstrated by Harrison Acoustics in their report from April 2024. Also, we would expect that an expert would have the reasonable capability to use the ISO 9613-2 standards, which is what all modern studies are built around, and they weren't used here. Further, most significant data was not even used by your expert. It was thrown out due to cricket noise. Neighbors had warned the township that cricket noise would interfere with the testing if they conducted the test so early in the morning, but they proceeded anyway. So we'll be following up with you more. And I think there's a question here that's new, and we expect a response from you on that. As far as how was this fence evaluated? Marty, do you have anything you'd like to add to that?
Hi, I'm Irene Lewis. I live on Montgomery Road. And I'm here because I'm concerned about the fence that was installed in September. It's come to our attention that the permit that was completed was, the box was checked off for fence to be less than 6 feet tall. It's noted down here that it was a buffer screen. No? Right, that's what I'm saying. It was buffers.
That can exceed 6.
That can exceed 6 feet. Well, anyway, so that, that was, I was wondering about that. But I see that it was received on the 24th of June and then approved on the 25th of June. And my contention is that not enough thought was put into what this fence actually was. It's not just a fence. It's a buffer screen that it creates an enclosure. It's insulated fabric, 14 feet high, that butts right up against the building. And then the building is two walls surrounding the chiller system. So now we have three walls surrounding the chiller system, which inhibits its ability to gather air, recirculate the air, and cool the building efficiently. We looked up the manufacturer's installation instructions. It says specifically that the enclosure, when units are enclosed, the enclosure height should not exceed the height of the unit on more than one side. The new fence is 14 feet high and the walls from the school are 35 feet high. This forces the hot air to discharge and recirculate into the condenser, which makes the chiller run hotter and harder with more load than it was designed to do. That is specifically against the installation instructions of the manufacturer. Anyway, the point is that now we have a hot box around this chiller system. And I'm just wondering, was this inspected after it was installed? It was. And was the fire inspector, fire marshal out there? Well, anyway, so that's what I'm talking about. I'm talking about that the fire marshal probably needs to go out there and see if this is a safe situation, because there is this chiller is now hotter than is going to run hotter than it used to. This sound blanket butts right up against the wall. And so now it's an enclosure. It's not just a screen to block the view or to block the noise. It's acting as increasing the heat load. And so I wanted to be on public record that I'm concerned about that.
Can I just ask one clarifying question, Ms. Lewis? Are you before us today to identify that you believe that there is a new issue related to the installation of the buffer screen?
I'm
only asking Ms. Lewis.
a new issue.
Yes,
for,
related to the buffer screen?
you mean a new issue since it was installed?
Yes.
Yes, because it's become to my attention that I didn't know about these manufacturer instructions. I didn't know that this was now an enclosure. I mean, it's a new issue that's come to my attention.
Okay.
I
I just wanted to clarify that.
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay.
You know, I mean, there was no real consultation with me about what's going to happen. I mean, I didn't know that this permit was applied for. I mean, I knew that they were talking about putting up a fence, but now I see what it actually is. And I'm concerned about the safety of the situation. Thanks for your attention.
Any additional comments or concerns?
Yes, please. Evening, everybody. James Jaquette, 413 Cedar Lane. Thank you for your patience with us and our noise issue. But it continues despite the minuscule protection the school district installed. And so what I would like to reiterate is that when this analysis was done by the school district and the township, for some reason, the quote experts decided they wanted to do the test for sound for an air conditioning unit, which is working to cool down temperatures in the building from hot air. They decided to do this test at 5 a.m. to 7 p.m. In September. And the top temperature was 58 degrees. And then they try to justify some adjustments to that formula of what they came up with based upon adjustments on the decibels. A layperson looks at that and go, what? Why are you testing this at 58 degrees in the morning when the chillery of this machine is pumping out at 3 p.m. in June, July, August, September? And so why didn't they do it at 3 o'clock in the afternoon on a 95-degree day like we had plenty of last summer? And they can do adjustments for that, for the alleged excuse of, from the solicitor, the ambient noise of cars, buses, doors, voices, construction, and maintenance equipment, all of which can be avoided by simple scheduling of when they're going to do this. They could do it on a weekend. Nobody's around the building and there's no traffic. So they choose to go this way. We'll get the low numbers and then we'll adjust them versus getting the real numbers and then adjusting them for whatever conditions happen to be in existence that day. So that's backward thinking. I don't buy that justification at all as submitted by the solicitor. The other point is, excuse me, trying to look at my scratch here. The solicitor advised us in a letter that the board would no longer be responding to us because certain residents have threatened to sue the township. So may I ask the solicitor to identify what residents threatened to sue the township?
My statement speaks for itself. There's
No,
not
it
gonna be any
doesn't.
Debate or discussion tonight.
No, it doesn't speak for
Yeah, it
itself.
does.
You're alleging that the board can't do its job by communicating with its citizens because you're saying somebody that threatened to sue. So who was it?
My statement speaks for itself.
That is so lame. And
I'm
besides,
sorry you feel that way, Jim.
so am I.
Have more respect for what I
So-
do for.
We do the same thing. And apparently you do it a different way than I did. Because when I represented a client who had a potential problem with a lawsuit that might happen, I would want to talk about it with the other side to avoid the lawsuit. Meantime, your opinion is shut it down. When somebody brings up a lawsuit, you shut down communications. That's the way I did the business for 47 years. Don't understand it. You don't want to talk about it. That's why you want to shut it down. You don't want to talk about it. Thank you for your patience. But I ask you to reconsider this because this is not the end from our point of view. It's not the end.
So just on the matter of the chiller, I'm going to read a statement just so the general public can be aware of what's been communicated to a handful of residents. It was stated that for over a year, after hearing from residents near the Wissahickon Middle School regarding your concerns about noise from the middle school chiller, the Lower Gwinnett Township Board of Supervisors and Township staff spent considerable time and resources repeatedly urging school district officials to find a solution. During that time, because the board is sympathetic to the impact you said the chiller noise had on the enjoyment of your properties, the township's effort went beyond the township's limited authority to enforce noise ordinance violations. Following multiple discussions regarding different sound mitigation options, you urged the Wissahickon School Board to reject the agreed upon compromise of constructing a large sound wall to block the noise. The school board, without your support, did not approve the sound wall. Instead, the school district installed a less substantial and less expensive sound fence, hoping it would comply with the township's noise ordinance. The township then had to shift from the advocacy role back to its traditional code enforcement role to objectively determine whether the chiller and sound fence complied with the noise ordinance. As you now know, once the township determines that the school district complies with the ordinance, the township cannot require the school district to implement additional sound mitigation measures. To determine compliance objectively and scientifically, the township engaged acoustic professional, Metropolitan Acoustics, which is recognized as an expert in analyzing noise and its effects. The township followed Metropolitan's recommendations regarding the best methodology to study the chiller. One recommendation was to conduct the sound test early in the morning before ambient noise, such as noise from cars, buses, doors, voices, construction, and maintenance equipment, would interfere with the study. The township also directed the school district to operate the chiller at 100% load during the test. A representative of the chiller manufacturer was present during the sound test to confirm that the chiller was operating at 100% load. In other words, even though the weather was mild, the representative confirmed that the chiller was operating at its maximum level, i.e. the same level and capacity as if the outside temperature was over 100 degrees. After careful analysis, Metropolitan concluded that sound from the chiller is not violating the noise ordinance. And as previously stated, the township cannot require further sound mitigation by the school district. The township understands that for some residents, this is not the desired result. We also understand that some of you continue to have questions and concerns, even criticisms of Metropolitan's findings. However, because certain residents have threatened to sue the township, and I was in the meetings when they threatened to sue the township, we have our solicitor advised township officials to refrain from responding or engaging in any further discussion.
If I may add, the idea of suing was first offered by you. You were the first ones to say, if you have a problem, sue the school district, take it to a small claims court. We've always maintained, and you've been copied on these emails from October, November, and December of last year, our position. It was quite clear. It was a dangerous situation for kids at the school. It was an unhealthy situation for kids in the field. There was tonal noise present, which is an inherent nuisance, and it was identified by Harrison, the expert, in his April 2024 report. Mimi received that. I brought that to Jamie Warman's attention as to the issues that we wanted to make sure that we were using the right interpretation, okay, of the code and the right definitions as far as intermittent sound as well as night. We received no guidance on that after multiple efforts, and even including the board in that discussion. You stayed silent. We assumed that we had an understanding. Harrison Acoustics had been out to that site in April of 2024. They'd been out at that site in August of 2024. Both times, they cited this as clearly intermittent. On the third time they came, it says in their report, we were told by the township that it was intermittent and to use that. That's what's in their report. That's
anything else, we have 2 public hearings that we have.
no, I think no, you went through the time to make sure you wanted to have your points heard. We were just telling you we're going to give you a couple. If you want to repeat those back, I can't let it stand because we don't agree with any of that. We don't agree with any of that. We did not reject the wall because we didn't even know what the wall was. That's why you can't vote on it. It was based on, and that's where the whole 100% load situation came in, and making sure the design was correct. So, and we don't even know when you state, we know, as you know, that you only get to do this once. Well, the case is, if that's the case, well, we told you not to do it. We told you clearly that these were not the conditions. And those were clearly those conditions that were chosen.
Mr. Rudolph?
No, I'm sorry,
Mr. Rudolph, I'm going to stop you,
That's
okay? Because it's no longer, you're kind of going on and repeating yourself. It's no longer comments. The Board of Supervisors has been advised by a solicitor on behalf of the township that we cannot comment. So if you have conversation that you would like to engage with, I think you need to engage directly with our solicitor. But we're not going to be able to respond to anything, unfortunately. And we have a significant amount of hearings that we need to get through this evening.
And I understand.
So respectfully, unless you have something new to say, I'm going to ask that you please stop your comments.
Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Mr. Siegel, is there any additional public comment or any other comments that anyone would like to share? Matters not on the agenda? Mr. Siegel, is your attorney present?
Yes.
Okay, so we can move forward. I'll turn it over to our solicitor regarding the first public hearing.
Thank you. This is a public hearing to consider ordinance number 552. The hearing concerns a proposed amendment to the Lower Gwinnett Township zoning code and the Lower Gwinnett Township zoning map, specifically related to the Ambler Yards property. Now, this is a public hearing, therefore we have a stenographer present. So if you speak, it would be helpful if you spoke slowly, clearly, and didn't speak over anyone else. Otherwise, he gets a headache, and that's not good. This is just the first step in a lengthier process. We're only considering zoning at this point. We're not considering a project, a building, a plan, or anything else. There's not going to be any permits issued as a result of this public hearing. It's merely a hearing to determine whether or not the board would like to change certain specific sections of the text of the zoning code, and whether or not it wishes to change the zoning classification of certain properties within the confines of Ambler Yards. At this point in time, and I know Ambler Yards would like to make a presentation, but first I'd like to indicate that the township did comply with the notice requirements in the zoning code and in the municipality's planning code. There was notice of a public hearing that was given. It was advertised twice in the Reporter newspaper. Notice of the map amendment was also posted on the affected properties, and mailings were sent to affected property owners and adjoining property owners. In addition, the proposed ordinance and map amendment were referred to the Montgomery County Planning Commission and the Lower Gwinnett Township Planning Commission, both of which recommended approval. So before we get into testimony, I'd just like to mark some exhibits preliminarily. Township Exhibit 1, Proposed Ordinance 552. Township Exhibit 2, Public Notice of Hearing with Proofs of Publication. Township Exhibit 3, List of Affected and Adjoining Property Owners and Proof of Mailed Notice. Township Exhibit 4, Proof of Posting. Township Exhibit 5, Application for Zoning Change and Map Amendment with exhibits dated June 26, 2025. Montgomery County Planning Commission, Exhibit Township 6, Montgomery County Planning Commission Review Letter dated November 14, 2025. Township Exhibit 7, Township Planning Commission Minutes for the meeting of October 15, 2025. Township Exhibit T8, Township Planning Commission Minutes for November 19, 2025, which the Planning Commission recommended approval. From a procedural standpoint, we're going to have the applicant's representatives make a presentation. The board will engage in questioning, and then the floor will be open to public comment, both those in attendance in person and those via Zoom. And once the hearing is complete, the board may deliberate and consider a motion to adopt the ordinance, or may table the matter indefinitely or to a date certain. So with that in mind, I'll ask the applicant's representatives to come forward and introduce themselves.
Thank you, Attorney Stein. My name is Celso Late from Hamburg Rubin. I'm here this evening on behalf of Ambler Yards. Before we move forward, I would simply ask that the PowerPoint presentation that we've provided to the township be entered into the record as applicant 1.
That's fine.
Thank you.
Can you pronounce your name one more time? I'm sorry.
Celso Late,
Okay.
like you're late for school.
Okay.
I'm going to be brief this evening because I know you guys have a couple of things on the agenda, and also because we've come a very long way this evening. Jamie, could you please switch to the next slide? So in 2019, we met with neighbors about 2 or 3 times to discuss the apartment project that's proposed on this property. In 2024, we again met with neighbors regarding apartments and storage. We've met with staff. We've met twice with your planning commission, and we've met twice with the board. And we've been refining a conceptual plan all along. To echo what Attorney Stein said earlier, you are not here to vote on a particular plan. You're here to vote to amend your zoning ordinance. But this is the bright future that we would like to present in plan form to you. And I'd like to start with the proposed storage facility that's going to be near the center of what will be Tract 1. Jamie, could you jump to the next one? So this self-storage facility will be about 84,000 square feet, 3 stories with access garages on the ground floor for contractors. All other access will be from the interior of the building. The hours will be limited. We will have climate control, security and fire suppression system. And importantly, all of the agreements for the units will prohibit storage of any dangerous or flammable substances. The storage building will be located where the buses used to be parked, right there in the center, just below the meadow, and will be built into the hillside. In previous meetings with neighbors, we've presented a number of line of sight exhibits. The neighbors will actually be overlooking the building because of the topography of the property. Above the storage facility, there will be some beautiful green space. Right now, we're looking into a grant for the pollinator garden located on the top portion of the property. However, if that does not come through, we will still maintain that area as meadow. We're also going to be extending the existing public trail that will go through that pollinator garden and/or meadow. The text amendment also moves the zoning district line above what will be Tract 1 and Tract 2. Right now, that runs through the middle of this Ambler Yards project. We will also take the existing parcels, which are located on the corner there, and we'll combine them into what will be known as Tract 2. This is where the existing buildings that used to be residences that have since been converted into office buildings are currently located. There, we're proposing a 43-unit apartment building. That'll be 9 2-bedroom units, 18 1-bedroom units, and 16 1-bedroom plus den units. The ordinance amendment will also allow for shared access and parking between the 2 tracks. As I'm sure the board has heard before, due to some environmental issues on Tract 1, Tract 1 and Tract 2 ultimately have to be separated. So we have to allow for more efficient shared parking between the 2 parcels. Jamie, could you switch to the next one? If you could zoom out just a little bit. Just to give you an idea, this is a conceptual rendering of what the proposed self-storage building will look like if you're standing in Ambler Yards looking towards the building. This is not the view that the neighbors would have. And if you could jump to the next one, Jamie. So we've also incorporated a number of features to the benefit of the neighbors. All access is going to be from the interior of Ambler Yards. The only doors facing Francis and North Spring Garden Street are going to be emergency exits that will not be used on a regular basis. We're also setting the building back 30 feet. Currently, you're dealing with a 20-foot setback. And in addition, in order to add a little bit of character to the building, we're also going to be setting the 3rd floor back as well. There will be no balcony, there will be no rooftop deck or benches or gathering places out in the front. Regarding trash, all of that will be handled inside of the building. Trash can be wheeled out within the Ambler Yards tract, so it will not be facing the street. And of course, during land development, we'll have to address issues of trees and traffic. This is not your last bite at the apple, as Attorney Stein pointed out at the beginning of this hearing. This is simply your ability to kickstart the process that will allow us to come back, present you with a more refined master plan, then allow us to hopefully obtain a conditional use, and then still go back for land development approval. So with that, I am going to rest on the fact that we've been here for a very long time and you've seen this twice. Your planning commission has recommended it, and so has the Montgomery County Planning Commission. With that, I'm happy to take any questions the board may have. Matt is with me also if you'd like to get into the weeds. So we're here at the board's pleasure.
Any additional questions from the board? Mr. Stein?
There are no further questions from the board. We can open to public comment.
Thank you.
You want to come up and just state your name and state your address? You might have to spell it for the stenographer.
Yes, hello, my name's Richard Ryan. I live on Brookside Avenue. Ryan, Richard. Members of the board, thank you for the opportunity to speak. My comments address the proposed zoning amendment that would eliminate the established 200-foot buffer zone, rezone small single-family residential lots into the F industrial district, and allow dense development, including apartment houses and a self-storage facility within this expanded industrial zone. One of the more troubling aspects of this proposed amendment is that when looking at the entire Lower Gwinnett Township zoning map, there's one single dimension shown that deals with a setback or a buffer, and it only occurs between Ambler Yards and RC Residential District. This dimension is clearly drawn to ensure that the F district is set back 200 feet along North Spring Garden and along Penn Ambler Road. This is the only place on the map that gives residents a predictable, enforceable, physical separation from industrial uses. The amendment proposes to eliminate that one hard protection. Removing the only clearly defined setback on the zoning map strips away the last physical barrier safeguarding the neighborhood from the intensity of industrial development. This is not a minor adjustment. It is the removal of the map's only built-in protection for nearby homeowners. The amendment would take small C residential lots that are sorely needed in Lower Gwinnett Township and that were originally homes that families purchased with the reasonable expectation of neighborhood stability and fold them into an industrial zone. This raises several concerns. There is no demonstrated hardship or compelling public need that requires these residential parcels to be converted into mixed industrial use. They can be used as is. Many existing neighbors will lose protections built into the zoning code to preserve quiet character of their street and neighborhood. Property impacts are likely, including reduced home values and increased difficulty selling homes due to the adjacency with industrial and high-density uses. Rezoning should be driven by genuine planning necessity, not convenience for a private project. Permitting apartment houses and a self-storage facility, particularly one that will attract frequent truck activity, will absolutely increase traffic volumes. Our neighborhood streets were not designed for high turnover vehicle trips from apartment housing or the box trucks accessing self-storage facilities. It was not designed for increased delivery and service vehicles or overflow parking and circulation from mixed-use campus. We already experience this from time to time, and it will most certainly only get worse. The amendment does not resolve these impacts, it simply enables them. Once the traffic worsens, it is irreversible. I believe Lower Gwinnett Township should emphasize protecting the character of its residential areas. This amendment contradicts that principle by allowing industrial mixed-use intensity to push directly into established single-family streets. It removes the buffer that visually and physically softened the industrial district. It introduces uses that are fundamentally incompatible with surrounding neighborhood fabric. A self-storage facility and industrial scale development is not a natural extension of a single-family neighborhood. It is a redefinition of it. Once these residential parcels are rezoned to F industrial, they are permanently changed. Future boards cannot easily undo that decision. This amendment sets a precedent that residential neighborhoods can be chipped away for industrial or mixed-use projects whenever it is convenient for development interests. This includes the 12 to 15 houses that sit along Penn Ambler Road that back up to the same to the same F district. This is not sound planning, it is reactive zoning. In summary, this amendment removes established protections, expands industrial zoning into areas that were never intended for it, increases traffic on small roads, and permanently alters the character of our neighborhood. I respectfully urge the board to reject this amendment and instead preserve the integrity, safety, and stability of our existing residential community. I thank you for your time.
Thank you, sir. Any additional comments from the public? There's a hand raised.
There's a Jenny Costello with her hand raised online.
Okay. Ms. Costello?
Hi, my name's Paul Brooks. Jenny's my wife. She's sitting with me. I live on 410 Brookside Avenue. And I just want to say first that
Sir, before you start, can you spell your first and last name?
Paul, Paul, last name Brooks, Brooks.
Thank you.
I just want to say that I agree with and support everything that Rich Ryan said. His research was sound and compelling, and I do hope that you take it into consideration as you vote. My concern is mainly for the children who are walking to school. This sits right in the middle of an area where kids who live in this quadrant don't have the option of busing to school. They walk, and they come from West Ambler, and they walk up Francis, and they walk up Brookside. And if you zoom in on Brookside Avenue, you can see clearly that there is not a sidewalk. My 9-year-old and I walk to school every morning and walk home with no sidewalk on Brookside, with cars that park in front of the homes on both sides of Brookside Avenue. With the addition of potentially 100 more vehicles, if there's 50 units being put in there for apartments, as well as what Rich said, the truck activity coming in and out of the storage, I really, really hope that the board considers this safety, the potential for an unsafe environment for children walking to and from school, and just pedestrians in general who like to walk around the neighborhood. That's all I have to say.
Thank you, sir. Any additional comments? You can come on up.
My name is Ray Sowden. That's Sowden. And I live at 416 Brookside Avenue. One thing I will say is Rich did one heck of a job doing research and made his presentation. I'm going to take a different look at it. First, I want to thank everybody here for letting me speak tonight. I'm here to explain why the zoning changes to accommodate, and I mean accommodate, a 43-unit apartment complex and a storage facility are not the right fit for our community, especially when considering traffic impacts, the surrounding infrastructure limitations, and our responsibility to plan wisely for the future of our town. Even a small town like ours, traffic patterns matter. Many of our roads were designed decades ago, long before the development pressures we are facing today. It's important to recognize that this proposal does not exist does not exist in isolation. We are already experiencing significant new growth within with the development of St. Mary's Home, and I know it's not in Lower Gwinnett, but we have the crossings in Ambler as well as the proposed apartment building at the train station. These all impact our roads and traffic, okay? I think we all know now from our experience how heavy the traffic has become. Has anybody tried to go through Ambler on Butler Avenue between 9 a.m. or 4 p.m. during the middle of rush hour? Or even in Springhouse after 4 o'clock? It's the same thing. That 5 Points intersection can be unbearable. Okay, so the traffic is major, and it's not just those areas. This is going to impact it too, because it's going to create more traffic on ancillary roads. Okay. I know when Sandy and I drive around, we say there's a running joke about the new Ambler rush hour. And it's happened to us a lot. When we need to get to somewhere reasonably quick, it might take us 20 or 30 minutes to get out of our own town. And that's not being unreasonable. It happens. So closer to home, I live on Brookside. It has a 25-mile-an-hour speed limit. Spring Garden has a 30-mile-an-hour speed limit, yet drivers regularly exceed both. And I cannot expect the police to sit at our roads watching all day to catch speeding madmen or women. Okay. So since retiring, which I did in September, I've been genuinely shocked by the volume and speed of vehicles moving through our neighborhood. Children walk these streets every morning and every afternoon to and from school. Okay. Echoing Mr. Costello or Mr. Brooks, whatever his name was. I walk my dogs on Brookside. The street has no sidewalks. The increased traffic is making it more dangerous each day, each week, each month. I mean, this morning I saw someone driving down my street doing 35 miles an hour. I mean, I wanted to jump out in front of them, but I know that's kind of stupid. The intersection of Brookside and Spring Garden is especially unsafe because of speeders, customers going in and out of Ambler Yard, and workers, hurrying to get to their jobs. Cars entering the complex routinely cut the corner, sometimes at higher speeds, creating a very real risk for pedestrians and the children who are walking to school every morning. Okay, on top of the roadway concerns, they have to look at their parking situation. Now, I did a little calculating, and it looks like they currently have 40 spots there. And in their new plan, they only have 45 spots. So I don't understand how they're adding 43 units, which could be 60 to 80 or so more automobiles. How is 5 more parking spaces going to help their parking situation? I know those lots are full every day. I walked it today just to check before I came here, and they were completely full at 4 o'clock. So where are the people that are living in the apartment complexes going to park? Okay. In a small town, even moderate increases in day trips have a real effect on congestion, pedestrian safety, and emergency response times. Once traffic becomes a problem, it's too expensive and often impossible to reverse, especially within our limited infrastructure and lack of space for road expansion. I mean, there's no sidewalks on Spring Garden with the exception of about 40 feet in front of their proposed area. If you want to walk on Spring Garden to get to Mount Pleasant, you have to walk in the street or walk in someone's yard, and that could be muddy. Anyway, beyond the traffic and the parking, there's a question of the future planning and land use. In our town of fewer than 5,000 residents, every piece of developable land matters. We only get so many chances to shape our community, shape what our community will look like 10 or 20 years from now. Using this property for storage facility, low employment, low engagement use does not contribute to the long-term community vitality. It also means tearing down buildings that currently house active businesses, the businesses that remained during the lean years of Ambler Yards, displacing them for the use that generates minimal economic benefit. Another concern to me is the disturbance of the land and the soil that once housed a major chemical company. Many of us here know the dangerous products that were produced on that land. I have friends and relatives that worked at Amchem. I don't know if anybody remembers Amchem here.
I do.
So do I, because my grandfather worked there. I know firsthand what was there. How do we know there are no residual effects? What happens when the soil is disturbed for deeper foundations, utility relocation, or excavation? That is a serious question that deserves an honest and transparent answer before any development of this scale moves forward. We do not want to become another Montgomeryville, Conshohocken, or Plymouth Meeting. I love the way our town is. That's why I still live here after 65 years. The question isn't, can we build it? The real question is, should we use this scarce and valuable land for a project that brings limited benefit, displaces existing local businesses, and causes significant long-term challenges, traffic being one of them? Your responsibility as a board and our responsibility as residents is to protect the character, safety, and long-term viability of our town. By changing this zone, it would put a strain on our infrastructure even more. Saying no to this project is not saying no to growth. It's saying yes to responsible, community-centered growth that truly benefits our residents and strengthens our town's future. Thank you for your time.
Thank you so much, sir. Any additional comments or questions from the public? Okay, I'm gonna ask our solicitor to go through the steps where we are right now and the number of steps that still need to occur.
This is an application for a text amendment to the zoning code and a map amendment dealing with the conversion of the residential properties from C residential to F industrial. It does not approve a project, doesn't issue any permits. There's still a conditional use application, at which time there would be public comment. There's a land development application that needs to be filed, at which time there would also be public comment. This is a lengthy and extensive process. The plans, the applications will all be reviewed by the township professionals. We have an excellent township engineer. We have an excellent transportation engineer. The township's lucky to have an excellent solicitor. So we're going to very carefully look at everything that's filed, but this is merely step one in a very lengthy process. Thank you.
Just to clarify, we're not doing land development. We're not doing conditional use. This is merely a zoning change and a text amendment map change to start the process. There was a lot of statements made about a building, about use, about parking spaces. We're not doing any of that tonight. The presentation was about what they hope to do. The presentation is about what they intend to do. None of that is being decided tonight. We're not voting on any of that tonight. We're voting on the ability for them to make a zoning change, to change part of it from C residential to the F district. That is all that we're voting on this evening. And I'm not saying that that is not significant, because it is. But we're not talking about the development as it relates to the intricacies of that tonight. I just wanted to clarify that for everyone. Some of the factual things that I just want to clarify while we're on the record before we close the hearing. There's 12,000 people in Lower Gwinnett, not 5,000. It's close. It was close. I'm going to turn it over to our zoning officer. Oh, we have a question? You could just state your name and you have to,
Peter Decker.
and I think you have to spell it just for the stenographer.
Peter Decker, Decker,
I'm gonna pick up
809 Merrill Road, Ambler. I wanted to question, does all the property that's included in that sachet that would be changed from C to F, is that all owned by Ambler Yards currently?
Yes,
I don't think Ambler Yards.
they
owns
lease
the
it.
property,
They have a
lease it.
long-term lease. You have to have a microphone, I'm sorry.
Due to some of the environmental concerns, Tract 1 is leased by Ambler Yards. Tract 2, what will be Tract 2, is owned by a separate entity.
Okay,
Thank you.
thank you. Anyone else have any additional comments or concerns they want to, you can come on up. Well, before you go, I'm sorry, Ray. The lady in the back had her hand up first. We always have to allow the women to go first. You can come up, ma'am. You just have to say your name, but you might have to spell it for the stenographer.
Sarah, S-A-R-A-H.
You could pick, you
Williams,
can pick up
Deb-
the microphone.
Oh, I do. Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, this is- Williams, W-I-L-L-I-A-N-S. So you're just changing the zoning tonight, but if there's no land development, why are we changing the zoning to an F1 industrial?
You want to let the attorney answer, or do you want us to tell you?
I mean, if you're not going to do that, then there's no reason to change the zoning.
I believe their intention is to do some things. That's why they did the presentation.
Right, so that's a long.
It's
you
a
said-
long, extended
Right,
process that has
but-
many hearings, that has many
Okay.
opportunities for public comment.
And who do you lease that from? That C1?
Matt Siegel, Sigel. We own track 1 through at the time was a 99-year ground lease from BASF Corporation.
Okay,
Sure. Track 1, we leased from BASF Corporation through a 99-year ground lease that there are 88 years left on. And it's been entirely prepaid for all remaining 88
and then
years.
once that lease is over in 8 years. you have to
88
wait
years.
80 years, oh, I'm sorry.
88.
80 years, okay, 88. Okay, all right, I understand it, but I just don't understand.
No, and I understand that. So the lay person is not meant to, I think.
Oh, real, oh,
Well, no, I mean, you should,
okay.
but I think nobody
I
at the
mean, I'm
time and
just thinking-
energy.
I mean, why,
They
if you
can't
say it's a
do-
long
they-
time to do this, and you have people that don't want this done, why are we changing it tonight?
Yeah, I'll let Mr. Tversky
they-
explain it.
They,
I got it.
the Ambler Yards has a vision.
I got
plans-
that.
Right. So step 1,
I got that.
okay, so
But I don't understand if you have people here are speaking out against it, why you're even thinking of changing it right now.
You can ask them the question. They're right there.
Yeah.
Something happened?
Is everything okay?
Mr. Downey, I think. Go ahead.
So the text amendment gives us the opportunity to come back to the township with a master plan and to work with the township, to work with neighbors the way we have been trying to work with neighbors, to try and put something like that vision into effect. But we can't even present the township with an application or a formal plan unless the text amendment goes through.
Correct, but according to Mr. Ryan, once you change that to an F1 industrial, it changes the whole structure of the area. Is that correct, Mr. Ryan? Did I understand you correctly? Yeah. Right. So it's just a question that maybe you should think about. Thank you.
Thank you. You can come on up, ma'am.
Sandy Silbiger, S-A-N-D-Y, S-I-L-B-I-G-E-R, 416 Brookside Avenue. My question is a simple one. Is the township voting tonight to change the zoning to benefit the township?
I would argue that
everything,
Or are we changing the zoning to benefit developers?
everything that we do is for the benefit of the township.
Then that's how
Let
I
me-
would like for you to vote tonight.
but-
Please vote no for changing our district to F.
Everything we do is for the benefit of the township.
hope
Let,
so.
let me just finish, please. Not everybody will agree with decisions we make. That happens with every single decision that comes before this board. You guys live right across the street. I know your neighborhood. I know your neighbors. My son took Mr. Ryan's daughter to the prom, okay? I'm very familiar with your neighborhood and your neighbors. Nobody wants to hurt anybody. We're always doing what we hope is in the best interest of the township. You won't always agree with decisions we make. Sometimes you will, and sometimes you won't. That's how we operate. We have no desire to do anything except do what we hope is in the best interest of the township. There are a bunch of people here tonight, okay? There are 12,000 other residents who maybe have no objection to this at all. We hear the people that have objection to it. I understand that. But that doesn't mean the township is opposed to this or this isn't in the best interest of the township. That's what we're here for. Nobody's trying to hurt anybody. Nobody's trying to do anything that is contrary to the best interest of the township. We may just disagree on what that is. That's all.
And I think I want to add to that. I think, and this, I'm going to speak for myself, but I can say confidently that this board is trying to put the best interest of the community at the forefront of every single decision that we make. Even to our own detriment and backlash, we are putting the community at the forefront. So when we are having conversations or when we have public hearings or even just public meetings about development, the room's filled. I've seen it filled more. I'm actually quite unimpressed by the amount of turnout that we've had. And there is vitriol, very passionate individuals who speak about what the change will be, the impact of the change on their lifestyle, their interaction with Lower Gwinnett, and how the community will look different. Just about at every single one of those meetings, I have to then reveal my age and say that I have lived here for 47 years. My family has owned a home on Brookside since the home was built in the early 70s. Every one of you brought change that haven't lived there for that period of time. And every time that there is incremental change, there is some level of fear, of concern, of valid expression of things that need to be taken into consideration. I can confidently say this board really, truly takes that to heart and is very measured in our approach. So much so that every developer we have made come before us have a community meeting before they can come back before us. Meetings. We have made them meet with the public repeatedly so that the public has the opportunity to express all of their concerns in multiple venues. In case you don't want to come up to a podium and talk in front of us, you can go up to the individual and have a conversation. Sit down and have coffee with the conversation. Sit down with the developer and have a conversation over coffee. We want that to be the experience that the public, because we are your neighbors and I am your direct neighbor. I completely understand your concerns. Some of them can and will be discussed at the different parts of the process we need to go through, which would be land development, conditional use, which would be those things. But if we never get past the first part, we're not addressing one of the fundamental issues that we are facing as a community, and this will come out later when we hear about the comprehensive plan. There is a housing shortage. And we all don't want to recognize it, and we all don't want to be the community that has to solve it. Completely understand that as well. And I think for Lower Gwinnett, it's much more of a lack of housing diversity. And that lack of housing diversity does not allow individuals who are beginning their careers in the workforce or maybe ending their raising of a family, but still want to remain here. And I'm not going to go through arguing all, I'm just saying that these are some of the things that have come out, been reported, and kind of shared with us with data. It's not just related to our feelings. But I want to make sure that everybody understands none of these decisions were made without the community being not only at the forefront, but being the only thing that we're concerned about. Absolutely the only thing. And again, I'm not speaking just, I'm speaking myself, but I think I'm speaking on behalf of the entirety of the board. And I'm not trying to single you out, but I wanted to make sure that you felt what Mr. Torsky was saying, that it is 1000% true. And it's something that we mull over and go back and forth over and have conversation individually about all the time.
Thank
And I just want to add on top of that, just for everyone knows, I'm on kind of the opposite end where my family moved here 7-8 years ago. And I have 3 young children here, and this is where we're growing our roots. This is where we're going to be. My kids are going to grow up. They all go to the West Higgins School District. And everything that's being done, I think about my kids because this is where we live, where we're going to be here. And I know Janine has 3 young children as well, and she's in the same boat. Everything we are doing is in, we think about the community, all our friends, all our neighbors, our family. This is where we live. There's no other reason why we're up here but to do what we think is best for everyone involved. It's not for one corporation or one developer. It's for our community.
Okay, I appreciate that. Try to imagine yourself living where we live. Thank you.
The other, I want to just add one other thing. We've gotten letters, we've heard from, this isn't the first time folks have been here to talk about the Ambler Yards project. The one thing that has struck me is how many people on Brookside and Francis in the area use the Ambler Yards facilities and go to the Ambler Yards events. And I have never heard anybody say anything other than positive things about those events. From everything I've heard and my experience with the management of Ambler Yards, they appear to be really good neighbors. I don't understand why you think they would be anything but good neighbors through this process. I don't know how it'll turn out, okay? But from everything I've heard from residents, you all go down there when they have their food truck Fridays. And I only hear positive things. So again, who knows what'll turn out if and when this passes and if or when they go forward. But to me, they've at least earned the benefit of the doubt that they're going to do the right thing. That's all I wanted to add.
If you can just come forward, sir.
Well,
You can't because of the stenographer.
online.
I'm sorry.
Sorry about that.
I'm sorry, but.
You have to state your name.
Charles Bailey, B as in boy, AILY, 427 Francis Avenue, Ambler. I'm sorry, I wasn't prepared to talk tonight, but
It's okay.
I just want to clarify that both the Lower Gwinnett Planning Commission and Montgomery County Planning Commission are in agreement with this plan, correct?
Yes.
All right. Secondly, at Francis Avenue resident, we don't have any sidewalks. Kids walk up and down our street. I'm concerned about the traffic, and Francis Avenue doesn't have the restrictions that Brookside does for not being allowed to enter the property. So I think that's it. All right, thanks.
No, Mr. Bailey, thank you for coming out. Thank you for sharing them. I know that others have shared. I want to add, those aren't going to be decided tonight, but Brookside, Francis, Marion, we don't have sidewalks. It's just a factual, and cars park on both sides of the street. I think more so on Francis than on Brookside. All of that would be discussed at a later meeting, at a later portion of the process. But I thank you for coming out. Anybody else? Come on up. Okay.
So when I read the order.
You have to wait till you get the thing. I'm sorry.
I'm sorry.
It's the stenographer's fault, not mine.
Get close.
It's Ray.
Well,
You have to say your last name, Ray.
Ray Sowden, Sowden. So when I read the ordinance, which by the way are very confusing, and the reason they're confusing is.
It's because of the lawyers.
Well, it's okay, but it really would be nice to know what the old ordinance said. So where do you find the old ordinance, number one, or number two? What has changed? What's being added to the ordinance? That's what I really want to know.
I'm going to let the lawyers tell you.
The existing ordinance is available on the township's website.
Okay.
So it's pretty easy to find, and you can look at the provisions of the F Industrial District in the zoning ordinance. The text amendment portion of the ordinance would permit by conditional use apartment houses, self-storage facilities with parking, and accessory uses. It would also establish or revise dimensional requirements for apartments within the F Industrial District, and would also amend provisions relating to outdoor storage. That's the text amendment portion of the ordinance.
Did the setbacks change? Front, side yard
setbacks-
setbacks, under section 4, 1, 2, and 3, front yard, side yard, rear
Let
yards?
the zoning officer answer that.
The setback is actually increased. It got larger.
It got larger?
Back when the ordinance, the authorization to move forward with this formal process for rezoning, so in the board packet, if you go back to the meetings on the website to the September meeting, I have a memo in there that actually details each section of the ordinance that was changing, just so you could have it in front of you and see
Okay.
what the changes are.
Yep, I just wanted to know what was added, and basically I figured it was the apartments and the storage and the parking.
Jamie, just for knowledge, so the setback is actually increasing. Don't we have larger setbacks in other areas of the township? I know there's no other, is there another F district?
There's only one other parcel that's zoned F, and that is off of Railroad Avenue.
Okay.
But
I'm thinking like,
yeah,
do
so
we have larger setbacks in other areas? I'm thinking Ship.
yeah, they all have, yeah, oh yeah, Ship has
200-foot setbacks,
400 feet. in
400
some
foot
spaces,
setbacks,
yeah.
and which is the old Roman Haas.
Sure.
And then Bercadia has 200,
Arcadia is
or is it 300?
200, yeah.
200? Yeah.
And then there's also setback increases when you're when there's like different uses adjacent to one another's. But for this particular rezone, the real rezone that's happening is that parcel on the residential parcel on the corner.
Track 2.
Yeah, and that's C residential. So those setbacks are small. They're not.
Because it's the setback that you would have in a normal house.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So now it's increasing to.
Yeah, I think it was 20 feet, and it's on this plan, it'll be 30 feet
Okay,
now.
well, I
with
just
the
saw the
open
number
area.
5
Yeah.
feet. I thought that was
So
really
the
low.
increase is by 5.
The other
No,
thing is.
That's
the-
a side yard. It says 5 feet.
The side yard
Yeah,
between the apartment and.
That just seemed low.
That's the setback between our properties.
Yeah,
Oh,
that's
your
not.
existing
So
properties.
at the bottom of the apartment building, where you see the gold and then the blue line.
Oh, yeah.
That's between our properties. That's 5 feet, but it's literally between ourselves.
Yeah,
Okay.
a side yard setback in the C residential would be 15 feet.
Mhm. Any additional questions, comments? You can come on up. You just have to say your name
Yeah,
again.
Richard Ryan. I just had a question. Is the zoning board, do they get involved in this process at all?
They were involved in the process already, and they will be involved in the process going.
That was
forward.
planned.
No, they
That was
won't.
planned.
Oh, I'm sorry, zoning hearing board. I'm sorry, planning commission. I apologize.
Only if they were to ask for a variance. If they're not asking for a variance, then it's strictly the planning commission and the board of supervisors.
Just on the surface, it would seem to me that the zoning, is it the board or commission, would have the most knowledge about rezoning things. And I don't understand why they wouldn't be involved in something whereas the board of supervisor can just write an amendment and say, oh, let's just change the zoning, you know?
Yeah, I'll give you two answers to that. The first is when this board adopts an ordinance or considers an ordinance, they're not operating in a quasi judicial manner. They're operating in their legislative capacity. The zoning hearing board, when it hears cases, operates in a quasi judicial manner, like a courtroom. And the municipality's planning code, the state statute, gives the zoning hearing board very limited authority. And this would not fall within their limited authority.
Okay, thank you.
While we're very friendly and neighborly here, This is actually our legislative engagement, and that's why our friend, the stenographer, is here, and that's why everything is documented as a hearing. So this is truly a public hearing. Anybody else want to come up? Any additional comments, questions? All right, come on up.
Wait.
You have to do it one more time, though.
SOWDEN.
There it is.
I think he knows you by now.
A lot of people know me. I'm famous. I'm a legend, right? Here. So if they want to build apartments, why are they wanting to change it to F from a C?
C residential is for single-family homes.
Okay.
Any additional questions or comments? Turn it back.
So that will close the public comment portion of the hearing. Now it will be up to the board to determine whether they want to adopt ordinance 552 or not, because you're acting in your legislative capacity. Those are your two choices: adopt the ordinance or do nothing.
Included in the board packet is a memorandum from our assistant township manager, dated December 4th, that outlines all of the actions that have occurred. It states very specifically that the planning commission approved to the Board of Supervisors on October 15th and again on November 19th. There has been, and it's not documented, I think, in this memorandum, but there has been numerous conversations with the community, not just about what we're considering tonight, but about the whole host of the project. I think the community has been engaged and will continue to have the opportunity to be engaged. This is truly consideration of a zoning map change and a text amendment change. Again, you have the memorandum included in your board packet. Are there any questions or concerns from the board?
No.
Any additional questions or concerns from the public? I don't take this lightly. I just want everyone to understand that we understand how everyone feels, and it is us putting our community first. We will have many, if not multiple, opportunities to discuss this as we move forward. I'd like to make a motion to approve the text amendment change. Well, let's see, the motion to approve ordinance 552. Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor? Aye. Motion carries. Thank you so much, sir.
I just want to say, I want to thank everybody for coming out and engaging in this process. I encourage you to continue to participate. As everybody
We need you
explained,
to
there are
we need you
many
to participate.
opportunities to share your concerns throughout development. I also want to thank Ambler Yards for actively participating in all of the meetings and listening and continuing to listen to the neighbors' concerns.
Thank you. Anyone who would like to leave, now is your opportunity. We thank you so much for coming. Next up is our second public hearing. Then turn it over to our solicitor.
Just let everybody vacate.
Yeah, I think they're using some paper.
So this is a public hearing to consider ordinance number 553, also related to an amendment to the zoning map and a text amendment. Again, just to repeat myself, this is the first step in a lengthy process. Again, the board is not considering any particular project, construction, permit, land development, conditional use. Those steps would come later if the board does adopt ordinance 553. The ordinance proposes extending the Lower Pike overlay district along the east side of Bethlehem Pike from the Springhouse intersection toward Route 309. That would include 11 parcels to which the overlay district would be extended. That includes the 6 parcels within the Cedar Hill Bethlehem Pike triangle. In addition, the text amendment would provide for 3 paved off-street parking spaces per unit. That is, if it's a townhouse development, exclusive of garage space. One of the three spaces would serve as designated overflow parking and also allowing overflow parking to be placed in reserve. That is not built initially if it's not needed. Public notice was provided in accordance with the Township Code and the Pennsylvania Municipalities Planning Code. Notice of this hearing and intent to adopt Ordinance 553 was published twice in the Reporter on November 25th and December 2nd. Notice was mailed to affected property owners and neighbors, and property subject to the expansion of the Lower Pike Overlay District were posted with signage. Likewise, this proposal was referred to the Montgomery County Planning Commission and the Lower Gwinnett Township Planning Commission, both of which recommended approval. Before we ask the applicant to make a presentation, I'll mark some exhibits for the record. Proposed ordinance number 553 will be Township 1. Township 2 will be the proofs of publication. Township 3 will be mailed notice and adjoining property owner list. T4, proof of posting. Township 5, application for rezoning and text amendment dated September 15, 2025 with exhibits. Township 6, Montgomery County Planning Commission review letter dated October 15, 2025. Township Exhibit 7, Township Planning Commission minutes of the October 15, 2025 meeting. Again, the procedure will be that the applicant will have the opportunity to make a presentation, followed by questions from the board, then public comment for those in person and via Zoom, and then board deliberation and motion, if any. So is the applicant present this evening? Yeah. Please.
Thank you very much. My name is Pete Penna, Penna. Appreciate the time this evening. If we can pull up the plan. So I'm sure everybody has seen this. We actually, in the last 2 months, we spent a lot of time with the neighbors around the site, specifically a couple neighbors that live directly across the street, substantial amount of time. The plan that we submitted last time showed 52 townhouse units in 4 and 5 cluster buildings. After lengthy discussions with the neighbors, we've made adjustments to the plan that incorporate a slew of things that they have asked us to provide. One, they wanted the look to be a little bit closer to single family look. So instead of having 5-unit townhome clusters, we changed it to 2 and 3-unit carriage home clusters. That was a pretty big change from our plan. By doing so, it reduced the unit count from 52 to 49. And that is what is on the plan currently. A few things also that we added that I'm not sure on this specific plan, but we have since added and also have submitted that plan to the township Monday. Planning was important to all of the neighbors. Green space was important to all the neighbors. We kept this site less than 50% impervious, which leads to over 4.5 acres of green space or landscape space, whatever you'd like to call it. That also is shown here as well. A few other things that they really wanted to see were a nice sized berm, fencing, and sidewalks, which will be surrounding this site, again, on the plan that we put forward. So those were pretty significant issues that were discussed over the last, I'd say, 2 months since we left the Planning Commission on October 15th. One of the neighbors who I've talked to was here. He left. I think he couldn't take it. But we came to a very good place together. And so that's where we are. We still have to do a conditional use. We still have to review the plan, but we feel very confident that this can be done close to what we have here. And it incorporates pretty much everything that the neighbor had asked us to incorporate. And
that's it. So if there's any questions I can answer, happy to do so.
Any
Anything
questions?
from the board?
I have one question, Mr. Penna. You mentioned that the neighbors you've mostly been working with are the neighbors, are they the Cedar Hill
Cedar Hill.
neighbors? Have you been in touch with folks at the development across the street? in
Talking about the
Portland?
townhomes? So,
Yeah.
so Mr. Levinson reached out to these folks via email as well. And I've seen some of the emails back and forth. I've spoken to some are here.
Okay.
So some of them I have.
Okay.
We had a town hall meeting that the board had asked us to do back
Mm-hmm.
in September. Very productive, 40, 50 people showed up from those communities, had lots of discussions there. And a few of those that I gave my number to followed up with me afterwards as well. So I had individual conversations. A lot of the conversation shifted from the site to the actual homes and what they were going to look like. So I actually took them through my development now, Fairlands. So just so they can see kind of some of the construction that would be similar. So, but there was probably about 4 or 5 from that meeting that I stayed in touch with after.
Okay.
And the one the most was Mr. Levinson.
And you incorporated their feedback?
Everything that
into-
I was
okay.
given, I incorporated as best I could.
Does the change from townhome to carriage home change the number of bedrooms or anything in the units?
No.
Okay.
So the only thing I had to do on this plan is those buildings are basically footprints. They're not big blocks.
Mhm.
Because I don't have the building footprint yet. They will fit inside there, but they will not be the entire thing. That's the only caveat I could say about this. They won't be filling that entire thing. So that 48% impervious will come down. That's just showing what's there now.
Thank you.
Sure.
Mr. Penna, can we mark this as Exhibit A1?
Yes, please.
Just to be clear, this is the plan you intend to develop?
Yes. Is that correct, Jane?
I believe this plan you had submitted, I think you circulated that plan, but then you just said that you.
Oh, so I updated,
You
yeah, so
updated
I
it on
dropped it off
Monday.
Monday.
I
And
have it in
that's the one,
paper, yeah.
yeah, and I emailed it to her as well, so maybe that should be the exhibit?
We have that here?
I have it right here.
Okay. Then
It's-
that will be Exhibit A.
Okay, yeah, it's the same as that, except with all the items that I've mentioned that I added for yeah,
Just to be clear, you're the equitable owner of the
yes,
parcel?
correct, yes.
Mr. Penna, can you tell us if you've had conversations with, I know there's Cedar Hill, I know that there's Tintern, but there's another single-family home development. I think it's called Truellen. Across the street, more from the nursery. Have you had conversations with the residents in there? Have they been included in those
Yes,
conversations?
so a bunch of them were I'm not sure if any are here now, but a bunch of them were at the open house that we did
Okay.
back in September. There were representatives from there, the other one down a little bit.
Yep.
And then Cedar Hill and some of the developments off of Cedar Hill.
I like Chesterfield and,
Right.
yeah, okay.
Correct.
I just wanted to make sure that your reach went beyond
Yes.
the near neighbors. Okay. Any additional questions from the board? Any additional questions from the public? Thank you so much,
Yep.
Mr. Bennett.
Thank you.
Any questions, comments from the public? You can just come up and you have to state and spell your name.
I'm Lisa Washaba, and I am.
You have to spell it for
Oh, sure.
him. I'm sorry.
WASHABAUGH. And Nancy and I are both on the board of Truellen Estates. And then, yes, we appreciated there's Nancy. The meeting that we had with them. You had mentioned something about that it's going to be a 3 parking spot to each unit, and that right now you're not doing 3, but if you need it in the future, you'd be doing 3. Is that what I understood when you said earlier that right now it's 2, and it's with the idea that if you needed a 3rd, you'd be putting in another lot?
Are you talking to Mr.
Or-
Penna?
Yeah, sure.
Pete Penn again. So currently this meets that parking requirement. The parking requirement that has. You're talking about parking spaces?
Yeah.
Yes. So basically, if you look at this plan, every house has 4 parking spaces on their property, 2 in a garage, 2 in the driveway. Okay, so
Like-
yeah, so 2 and 2. Then in the development itself, this shows one extra for every single house that's there, which would be 49 at this juncture. So yeah, those little cutouts are the parking spaces. So they're currently, and what, yeah, so yeah, so what Mr. Stein was mentioning is there's a caveat in there that if we wanted more green space to start, some of those parking spaces that are overflow could be left green. And if the township felt that there wasn't ample parking, we would then pave and put them in. But that would give us more green space. That's what he was discussing.
Thank
That help? Yeah.
You can just come on up. You just have to state your name and spell it for our stenographer.
Okay, Emma Smith.
I think that's easy.
Okay.
Oh,
Correct.
we were so
I
close.
just have a question about access to Cedar Hill Road and also to North Bethlehem Pike. Will there be traffic lights there, or will that be as the homes that are on the other side where Trail and Reserve, is it Trail and Reserve is, where people can just pull out?
Mr. Pena, I think you should sit closer.
Sure. Okay. Do that. Since I'm here, I'll use this one. So currently there is no plan to put a traffic light anywhere here. That is a process that PennDOT does themselves. We've had significant conversations with, I've had 2 traffic engineers at this point. The first one we didn't retain, but the second one we have. We spoke to the township traffic engineer as well. So there will be a process by which they will look at things, but from my experience and from the township engineer, from the traffic engineer consultants that we've talked to, they feel that traffic lights are not warranted in any of these spots. But that's an answer, or a question probably for the township and traffic engineer. Does that help?
Yep. Are you okay with that, or do you want us to turn it to the traffic engineer? Okay, you sure? Because he's right here.
Sorry.
You sure? You want the traffic engineer? Come on up, Chad.
Come on up, Chad. Gotta stretch your legs.
You have to say and spell your name.
Chad Dixon, Dixson. So yeah, if this project moves forward past the zoning amendment phase and goes into a conditional use and land development phase, part of the review process will be with both the township and PennDOT for the access that they take to Bethlehem Pike, which PennDOT has jurisdiction over. Cedar Hill Road is a township road, which falls under the township's jurisdiction. And they'll be required to complete a detailed traffic study of just not their access points to each road, but to nearby intersections as well. One of interest being Bethlehem Pike and Cedar Hill Road. So as part of that detailed evaluation, whether it's at their access points or the intersections that they study, they'll have to look at whether turn lanes are required, whether traffic signalization warrants would be met. All those things would be evaluated, and that review process between the township and PennDOT is concurrent, and we coordinate with each other to sort of have a unified front in how we want the development to be permitted, both from the township and PennDOT's perspective.
You guys good with that? You have follow-up questions?
Chad, could you also explain what you asked them to do at the intersection of the geometry, Cedar Hill?
Yeah, so we've asked them at this point, and there hasn't been any interaction with PennDOT yet, but we've asked him to align across from True Ellen, which he's doing on this plan. Oh, down here. I'm sorry. Yeah, one of the things that we've asked them to evaluate if the project goes forward is to realign the Cedar Hill Road approach to Bethlehem Pike as it comes in on that angle. And the turning movements aren't necessarily easy, whether you're turning from Cedar Hill Road or turning from Bethlehem Pike. So that'll be looked at closely as well in terms of how we can improve that as part of this project, since they will own that corner there where we can potentially realign Cedar Hill Road to intersect better. Sort of, it right now comes in at an angle, so preferably we would like Cedar Hill to intersect Bethlehem Pike at more of a 90-degree angle. So since that sort of that green triangle there will hopefully provide some room to realign the Cedar Hill approach, so it comes in at a more of a 90-degree angle to Bethlehem Pike.
Are you showing it on the screen, Jamie?
I'm gonna pull up the intersection just so they know, yeah.
Come on up.
Come on up.
Pat McCarthy, 1251 Carnegie Court, and I'm in reserve across the street. Is there any chance we could get a left-hand turn lane into our development?
Which driveway?
We're the first one from Cedar Hill coming up. 'Cause we've had people getting
Off of
rear-ended in
Bethlehem
there.
Pike?
Yeah,
Oh, you're on Bethlehem Pike.
Yeah, so that-
Spin
that's a-
turn.
off of Bethlehem Pike
Yeah.
into Tintern,
Yeah,
yeah.
that's a PennDOT road.
Yeah, that's in PennDOT's jurisdiction, so they would have final approval on that, but as part of their traffic study, we'll ask them to evaluate that intersection just to see if it meets PennDOT's warrants to add a turn lane. There's certain criteria that PennDOT has in terms of traffic volumes at the intersection.
Yeah,
that would
with all
have to
that
be
additional
met.
volume, it would be very helpful if we have.
So we'll definitely have them take a look at that to see if it meets PennDOT's criteria or not.
Thank you, Chad.
Any additional questions or comments?
Additional question. I'm Gail, Gail, Roberts, Roberts. I live on Bangor Lane. Is there any ballpark idea of how much increase in traffic is anticipated from having those additional homes?
So we haven't done the detailed traffic studies yet, but typically townhome developments in general generate a little bit less traffic than a single family detached house. In terms of like a peak hour, usually they generate a little bit less than one trip per unit. But once we get into the detailed traffic study, we'll do some detailed calculations and have those numbers in terms of what the anticipated increase is, just total volume that they'll generate, but the amount of traffic that they'll add to the study intersections as well. A little less than that during the peak hours, which is typically what the traffic study would focus on for a residential development. It'll look at that weekday morning and weekday evening peak periods, because those tend to be the highest traffic volume times during the day. So those are the times that we have them focus on in the traffic study. Yes.
Hold on, I'm sorry. You have to say your name again. I'm sorry. Pat McCarthy, right? There it is, Pat. It's Pat McCarthy.
People can still come out of the development and make a left onto Cedar Hill and go down to Welsh, right?
That's what they're proposing, is for it to be full access.
Okay, yeah.
As part of the evaluation, we'll look at whether it's appropriate for all the turning movements to be permitted at that drive.
Okay, it wouldn't be a one-way just in, they could be able to come out of there too.
Correct. They're currently proposing it to permit all movements in and out.
Okay. How about square footage on the units? Did they?
Mr. Penna. Mr. Penna, Mr. McCarthy has a question.
So the big thing these days are first floor masters. Everybody wants first floor master. So we needed to have a little bit wider of a unit in order to get a master down there. So these are estimated to be I would guess 3,500 square foot end units and then a little smaller interior units. That's just a guess. I don't have, yeah.
Additional questions or concerns? You can come up, ma'am. You have to just state your name and spell it.
Nancy Hager, from Tuelan States. In the process, Haggard, like tire. In the process of fixing the corner of Cedar Hill and Bethlehem Pike, we have a lot of vegetation, a lot of trees. Are we intending to clear all the trees in that corner?
So I don't think we're at that point in the process yet, but Mr. Penna, you can come on up
Sure.
and talk about your.
I got my mic now.
Oh, there it is.
So if you look in that triangle, that was another conversation with Mr. Levinson because he lives right there and he was like adamant to keep that. So if you see the line there, we are proposing again, everything else has to go through land development, but we are proposing to leaving the edge of the woods right there, which is where that line is on the southern end triangle. It's like a squiggly line. So we are proposing that's where the wooding starts from there to the triangle. So from there south, we are proposing not to touch that. Depending on, again, what PennDOT decides to do with that triangle down the bottom, I can't control that, but if I had a preference, I'd say to try to leave it as much as possible. You're welcome.
Any additional questions or comments? Seeing none. Oh, you have one more?
Barbara O'Connor, 1519 Cedar Hill Road. O'Connor, O'Connor. I'm as a resident on Cedar Hill Road, I'm quite concerned of where the opening is in the development. As of right now, when you're coming down Cedar Hill to make a turn left or right onto North Bethlehem, it can get quite backed up there in the mornings and evenings. And I think it's going to be, and some people when they're coming up Cedar Hill from Bethlehem Pike, they fly in, make that right turn. I mean, super fast. So I'm concerned as to where the opening is if people are making a left, because not everybody makes a right. People do actually go to Horsham and other places besides Spring House. So I'm concerned about people coming out there making that left turn onto Cedar Hill with the speed that the other people are coming off Bethlehem Pike onto it. And, if there's going to be 49 cars, around 49 coming out, they're not all going to be coming onto Bethlehem Pike. And of course, they're not all coming at the same time, but I am concerned about the traffic and the turning lanes.
Thank you, ma'am. Anyone else?
No questions or comments on Zoom? All right, then we'll close the public comment portion of the hearing. At this time, it would be appropriate for the board to deliberate. Again, you're operating in your legislative capacity, so you could adopt ordinance 553, or you could table the ordinance, which is actually the staff recommendation, until a conditional use application has been received and reviewed.
So in our board packet, there is a memorandum from our assistant township manager and our zoning officer outlining all of the things that have occurred. It gives the details as it relates to the property, the zoning, the planning commission and the dates of their meetings, and the recommendation that they believe that it would be in the township's best interest and the board's best interest to wait until a conditional use application has been filed by the applicant and reviewed by our consultants before we move forward. Are there any questions from the board?
No.
Questions from the public? I don't need to make a motion to table, do I?
No.
Thank you so much, Mr. Penna, and thank you so much to all our neighbors for coming out tonight.
Everybody, if anyone wants to leave.
I was about to say,
It's not gonna be a lot of fun next.
everything else is not going to be
We'll
fun.
talk about our budget for next year.
I'll see you guys.
Somebody could take me with them, that would be nice.
We had some snacks.
Mine looks like you're the next 5 items or something. I don't have much to say. I'm just gonna question.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Yeah. We make it just, and then my dad would be like, we didn't need to do that.
No one cares about the general business.
Go figure.
All right, you guys buckle up. Buckle up.
See you around.
We have before us consideration to adopt the 2026 budget. I'm going to turn it over to our Finance Director, Melinda, who prepared the memo in our board packet.
We haven't, made any changes from the preliminary that we had, submitted, and I don't think we received anything, any comments on the website. So everything remains the same. It is, stated in here that we don't have an increase in the real estate tax millage or any of the sewer rates. And basically, the only changes that are occurring is the rec fund and the open space fund. The open space fund had like 2 accounts in it, and the rec fund, since we had moved park last year up, only had a couple of accounts. So that's just going to be put into a new department that's in the general fund, as I had stated before. And I do have something with regards to the millage rate for the taxes in a different memo that's coming up in a resolution. So this is just to adopt the 2026 final budget as it was presented prior.
I think we told you previously, Ms. Haldeman, we appreciate all of your tenacity and all the staff's hard work on this. There's no tax increase. Any questions from the board?
Just a comment. Thank you, Melinda. And I think you were so clear and did such a great job that no one else had any comments or questions. So thank you.
Any questions or comments from the public? Seeing none, I'd like to make a motion to adopt the 2026 final budget. Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. Next up, we have consideration of resolution 2025. This is setting the real estate tax rate and streetlight assessment for 2026. Ms. Haldeman?
Okay, so on this memo here on the front page, this is showing what the 2025 millage was per each one of the funds. And as you can see, rec is listed there at 0.17 mils. If you look beside it at the column, the 2026 rate, all we've done is take that millage and added it into the general fund to be the 1.047. Everything else is the same. The memo does show that we haven't had a real estate tax increase since 2011. We are not asking for one here. And the next page is just the resolution after the memo that I'm asking you guys to adopt.
And there's no change to the streetlight assessment as the tax rate resolution in addition, correct?
Right, there's no changes. Thank you.
With that, any questions from the board? Questions from the public? Anybody online?
No.
Seeing none, I'd like to make a motion to adopt resolution 2025-19, setting the real estate tax rate and streetlight assessment for 2026. Is there a second? All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. Next up is the resolution 2025-20, ratifying the supplemental appropriation. Ms. Haldeman?
So when we did the 2025 budget back in the fall of 2024, we weren't really sure about whether or not the land purchase was going to go through. So that was left out of the budget. Also, as you know, when we did make that purchase, we do have the $5 million bond issuance that isn't subject to arbitrage. So I don't want to use that. I would rather wait for our second bond issuance, and then we would reimburse ourselves. So we did take 2.4 million from the open space fund that we will be collapsing next year. So those are the two appropriations, supplemental appropriations that I would like to make in the budget for 2025.
Thank you so much. Is there any questions from the board? Any questions from the public? Anybody online?
No.
Seeing none, I'd like to make a motion to adopt resolution 2025-20, ratifying these supplemental appropriations as outlined by our finance director, Melinda Haldeman. Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor? Motion carries. Next up, Ms. Haldeman.
So in our 2025 budget, we did have a small surplus that was listed, and that was after we had our budgeted amount of transfers. Because we collected about $250,000
from prior year's business privilege tax, as I've presented to you guys before. I would like to transfer that amount of surplus into the capital reserve fund, and that's what this resolution is asking.
Any questions from the board? Any questions from the public? Anyone online?
No.
I'd like to make a motion to adopt Resolution 2025-21, authorizing the transfer of general funds surplus into the capital reserve. Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. Next up is Resolution 2025-22, debt management.
So since we did a bond issuance, we really needed to adopt a debt management policy, which just tells us, basically, it guides us through what we can and can't do, the types of things that we're allowed to do. If you read through the policy, we did have it go through the attorneys that we used for the $5 million issuance, and also the person who helped us with that from Jamie Schlesinger. He had recommended it. We went through it. I think we also had our solicitor look through it. And I would ask that we adopt this policy.
Included in the board packet is not only the resolution, but I think the policy. Any questions
Yes,
from the board?
yeah.
Any questions from the public? Anybody online?
No.
Seeing none, I'd like to make a motion to approve Resolution 2025-22, approving the new debt management policy. Is there a second? All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. Resolution 2025-23, Ms. Haldeman.
Okay. So after we did the debt management policy, it did come to our attention that after you receive bond monies, there's certain compliance issues for federal and state regulations. And we thought it best to add this along with our debt insurance policy, which tells us the types of reporting and things that we need to do after we received a bond issuance. That really means what I need to do in reporting purposes and things like that. And this just solidifies it. It puts it in writing for us so that it's there. And I'm asking that you adopt this also.
Thank you so much, Ms. Haldeman. Sadly, Mr. Torski has some concerns.
I know there's some concerns. I have some questions.
Sure, go ahead.
Thank you. Some on the board have issues with people asking questions. So I read the policies and I just want to make sure, so only the compliance officers can delegate somebody to act as the compliance officer if the compliance officer doesn't want to act as the compliance officer?
I saw that in there too.
Yeah, I mean,
It's normal standard operating procedure to have the finance director be the compliance officer because you don't want the township manager. Okay, so obviously if I would become incapacitated or leave or whatnot, it would go to the township manager and then you would be able to delegate someone else to be the compliance officer.
and I'm not worried about you. Hope you stay here at least through 2027.
Thanks.
I'm only saying that's what my term is. But as I read it, the compliance officer could delegate his or her responsibilities to somebody else.
Yes, but they would have to be qualified.
Right, so that sort of leads me to the other question that I had.
Okay.
I mean, there's nothing in there that says they have to be qualified, but so again, I have no concerns with you at all, obviously. In paragraph 9, there's the bond training, and it seems like as I read it, the compliance officer determines if the compliance officer needs additional training. And again, I don't worry about that with you, but I worry about it for future compliance officers. It just seems like the compliance officer is regulating the compliance officer, which strikes me as odd from an oversight perspective.
So this policy, unlike the debt management policy, which is pretty much recommended, you sort of need that with Moody's. It's just something you really need. This wasn't even originally issued to us. When we asked Jamie to look at our debt management policy again for comments, he had brought this up thinking that we had it. So I reached out to Obermeyer and they said, okay, we do have one. Yes, it is best. This is just giving you guidance on how you're supposed to do your reporting after you get the bond issuance, which follows the debt management policy. So this is just stating, hey, Melinda, you are the finance director. You have to go online when you're issued this. which I've already done for this year. I have to go online and report certain things, okay? Online and make sure that they're in there. This is just basically stating, yes, you have to do that. And if you don't know how to do that, reach out to somebody that knows how to do that so that you can get trained in it and you know how to go online, go to the website, like I do for DCED, for liquid fuels, all of those types of things. So this is just basically adding something sort of to the debt. It could have been actually part of the debt management policy to say, hey, once you get the debt, make sure that you follow all the requirements for reporting where you are and who you have to report to
No,
financially.
I get that part of it, but I guess
I read what you read, and I think I went back to number 2, where it says the issuer's board of supervisors has the overall responsibility for monitoring ongoing compliance with the requirements of the code, the rule, the compliance policy, and the issuance documentation. The governing body can assign to the issuer's finance director the primary responsibility to monitor such compliance, and they'll be the compliance officer. I assumed that meant if we have the ultimate responsibility and we are going to be left up to ultimately ensure that we're in compliance, we can assign it to our finance director, who we've hired and assume vetted and assumingly trust their background, that they are competent to be the compliance officer. But it does say that the compliance officer themselves can be like, I need more training, and thus get more training. But they have to self-identify as the finance director. So I was
as
just,
the compliance officer.
yes,
assuming it's
yes,
the-
yeah.
I mean, it just.
So it's the finance director being the compliance officer that we've hired, that we've designated this role to.
Yep.
It's ultimately us.
Right, but we don't decide whether the compliance officer needs additional training. The
Correct.
compliance officer decides whether the compliance officer needs additional
But
training.
because it's our finance director, we can direct
So,
our
so let me just
employees.
add something that may make this, why it makes more sense in this case for the compliance officer to be determining whether she needs more training. Because in paragraph 2, it has the compliance officer shall retain overall responsibility for ensuring compliance and coordinating compliance with her, if she's just doing it herself. By the delegation is going to happen to a third party. It's going to be you bring PFM or you bring the bond counsel in if she needs help for that. So the important decision is who's the compliance officer, right? It's going to be the finance director. And then she's determining, do I know how to do this? This stuff is very complex. So do I just need to ask the bond counsel? Do I need to go to training? How does that compliance officer figure out how to make sure everything is going to be done correctly? It doesn't make sense in this case for the board or even the manager to be saying, does Melinda need training through that? Because Melinda's the one, as the compliance officer, going through the 35 steps or whatever for compliance. She can determine, do I understand all of this? Is it enough just to have my advisors, or to come to me saying, there's this GFOA training, I need to go to it. It wouldn't work for somebody else to identify whether she needs the training because she's the one going through all of the steps. Does that make sense
It does,
in this
it does.
case?
And just so I'm really clear, I don't have any doubt about your qualifications, or that if you need training, you'll do trainings. But I guess I could see a scenario where, let's say, the township hired somebody who maybe wasn't as qualified as you to be the finance director, and maybe that person didn't want to take the training and was interested in doing other things. And so that's my concern. It's not with you. I'm just sort of.
And the onus is on that person then. It is truly on that person as they're going through the compliance. They've agreed, presumably, or been assigned, either way, they got drafted to be the compliance officer. That I think the idea here is it's putting the onus on the compliance officer to say, you better know what you're doing or else ask for training.
But isn't it also the safeguard that if it's the finance director, they report to the board of supervisors, their personnel, we can direct you.
They don't do it
Even you
right.
decide that don't want to do the training, even though you know you need the training and you just can't do whatever it is you need to do, we can direct you to do the training.
It's like the chief compliance officer reports to the CEO, but the CEO doesn't say, hey, you need this training.
Yeah.
Because the CEO doesn't.
But that's fine.
That was my
That's how I read it.
understanding. But who would you suggest?
Yeah.
Mike, how would you suggest it be changed? That the it's explicit in the policy that the board of supervisors?
That the compliance officer, if the compliance officer thinks they need training, or the board thinks the compliance officer needs training, but it's in either way, I mean, again, this isn't really about any one person. It's about the
sure.
role
The
of the
position.
compliance officer and basically deciding if he or she needs the training. And
Do you want to
it's
just add that in the paragraph? Like
we
this
direct
isn't an
staff?
advertised thing, right? Can't we just approve the resolution with an insert in that paragraph that says,
Yeah,
or to the policy, right, that says the compliance officer on her own can recommend training for herself, or the Board of Supervisors may require the compliance officer to undergo additional training if the Board of
I
Supervisors
think that-
decides they want to do it.
Seems like it's probably good to have that sort of oversight.
Yeah, that's fine.
A lot of
I'm
the
okay with that.
compliance I'm already doing, and you guys don't know it. So when I give you my board
Oh, yeah.
packet now, I give you.
I
the
assure you, I won't be
cash.
recommending any training.
We're not talking about you, Melinda.
Just so, well, I'm just saying, so those procedures are already in place. So even if I would get hit by a bus and somebody else would come in,
Yeah.
they would be following that, which has already been done. And I'm following with Jamie. Jamie is calling me up, making sure that I'm filling out all of everything that needs to be done. It's not super difficult if you're an accountant. Like I just go in and I do the reporting. It's less than liquid fuels, but you just have to make sure you do it. So I'm giving you the cash. I'm giving you our cash balances, what institution they're from. I'm giving you that fund balance report that I did in the budget. Those types of things we've already incorporated and you're already seeing. So it's not just what I'm following on the thing. So they'll all be written up in the procedures that I do anyway with a checklist, just for regular, all of my things that I have to do. So
Please-
it'll be
please
written
look both
there. You won't
ways
have to have, somebody's
before you
not going to
process
come in green and be like, well, what procedure, what complies? They're already kind of going to be listed out. So everybody
They're
can follow.
documented in the procedures and the processes that you already follow in execution. Is that sufficient for you, Mr. Twersky, or do you want it still that caveat?
I still want the caveat.
Okay.
We can put the caveat. I don't think it,
There's no problem with the
yeah, it's
caveat.
just,
Yeah, it doesn't matter.
We're not talking about you, Mrs. Haldeman, and we can't express this enough.
and please look both ways before you cross the street so you don't get hit by a bus, okay?
No, I completely understand that. Because when I read through it too, I was sort of like, whoa. But then I realized kind of what it was and it's. Now.
So just to add the statement, you say it. To add the
Yes, I
statement
could
that the
be
Board of
training in Las
Supervisors
Vegas.
can indicate.
Like,
Yeah. The compliance officer opponent shall determine, the compliance officer or the Board of Supervisors upon assuming based on his or her experience, the compliance officer upon assuming such role
or the
or the Board of Supervisors shall determine, just add or the Board of Supervisors after the comma after role.
whether the compliance officer needs to attend training.
Yeah.
In Vegas.
In Vegas.
Exactly. We're here for you.
Yeah.
Although I think those trainings are offered in Omaha.
Hey, Omaha's not a bad place. Ever been to Omaha?
So just for clarification, as we consider this resolution, we can pass this resolution.
town.
That additional language is going to be written in the policy. There it is right now.
All right, I
Any additional questions or concerns by the board?
No.
Any additional questions or concerns by the public? Seeing none, we have before us Resolution 2025-23. I'd like to make a motion to approve the new post-issuance compliance policy for tax-exempt bonds. Is there a second? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Thank you so much, Ms. Haldeman. You can pass it on over to John. Next up, we have consideration for the approval of a contract for our structural engineering services for design of a new public works garage. Do you want to give us a brief overview? Brief?
Certainly. In order to keep the Public Works Garage project moving forward, we need an architect to take our concept drawings and turn them into something we can actually build and bid out and do all those fun things. So we received 4 proposals that had a spread of approximately $500,000 across them, which is a rather large difference. They were all very qualified firms that I have no doubt would do a good job. We did wind up recommending the lowest priced one here, which is Alloy 5 Engineering. The one thing that I want to point out in this is that these are architectural engineering teams because they have to coordinate a lot with things like structural engineers, mechanical, electrical, plumbing. However, in talking to our construction managers, Boyle Construction, they recommended taking the civil engineering, which is essentially the site work engineering portion, and pulling that out and looking for a civil engineer that will specialize in the site work as an independent decision because these were all team proposals. And they said we may have somebody that's a better fit specifically for the site work on that job versus whoever got tied into the team. The architect really needs to pick their team for the other sides, but in the site work that can be done a little more independently. So when you see the low end of the price that we're suggesting, it's at 809. $1,000 in the actual range, but it's really 617,300 because we subtracted out that site work, the engineering portion of the site work.
And we think doing the civil engineer separately will wind up costing less than that, 192.
We are hoping that that will be the case. When we looked at the team proposals, they were all basically in that very same range. So we think it'll still be pretty close to that. There wasn't a lot of fluctuation. There was some fluctuation. So we think it's close, hopefully a little bit less to make, make it a little more competitive.
Okay. Thanks, John.
And that basically addresses the next memo you're going to see from me as well.
Thank you. Any questions or concerns from the board? Questions or concerns from the public? What we have before us, the consideration of a contract with Alloy 5 in the amount of $617,300 for architectural services and MEP services, what is mechanical engineering?
Mechanical, electrical, and plumbing engineering.
Oh, electrical and plumbing and structural engineering services for design of a new public works garage. I'd like to make a motion to approve.
Subject to fines.
Can we add that? Do we need to add that?
Yes.
I think we
Okay. And this contract needs to be subject to final solicitor review. Should we say solicitor and staff or just solicitor?
I think just solicitor at this point, we're at the last stages of that.
Okay. I like wait a minute. So I don't know. I guess I gotta start over. Well, is there any questions from the board? Any questions from the public? Anyone online? Yeah. I made the motion and with the addendum of subject to final solicitor review, I like to make that motion. Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. Go ahead, John.
So this next memo is to request authorization to issue the RFP for the site civil engineering work that we just pulled out of the architectural contract.
This seems like a standard RFP for site civil engineering. Included in the board packet is just the outline of what staff is recommending we request, which is standalone portion of the work. It requires less coordination, and they went forward and said all of that. That memo is included in your board packet. Any questions for John or any of the other staff from the board? Questions from the public? So we have before us the consideration to authorization to issue the RFP for site civil engineering services for design and permitting of a new public works garage. I'd like to make a motion to approve. Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. Thank you all so much. Included in the board packet is invoice report for December 9th, 2025. Are there any questions from the board? Any questions from the public? Seeing none, I'd like to make a motion to approve. Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Did you say? Oh, you second. I'm sorry.
Aye. Second.
There we go. Thank you.
All of it.
Included in the board packet is minutes from our November 18th, 2025. Board meeting. Has everyone had a chance to review? Are there any questions, concerns, or comments? Any questions or concerns or comments from the public related to the minutes from our November 18th, 2025 meeting? Seeing none, I'd like to make a motion to approve the minutes from the November 18th, 2025 meeting. Is there a second? All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. Supervisor liaison reports are included in the board packet for everyone to review as they see fit. Staff updates?
Just wanted to give one update on a traffic project. As the board's aware, you received a grant at the end of 2024 to replace all the traffic signal equipment and traffic signal poles at the Penland Pike and Trewellen Avenue intersection. We started the design and permitting process earlier this year. We're into our second submission and review cycle with Montgomery County and PennDOT. Back in the spring, we had an initial meeting with the church to review the scope of the project with them and make them aware of what will be happening in the near future. We're far enough along into the review process now where we'll be meeting with them again soon just to review with them in more detail the project and some very minor modifications that'll be made on their corner of the intersection to provide ADA compliant pedestrian facilities and where the placement of the new traffic signal poles will be during construction. So just wanted to make you aware of that in case you hear any feedback from the public as we meet and discuss the project with them.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Any additional questions or comments from staff? All right, Janine. Supervisor comments.
Well, I have a whole list. No, I want to wish everybody a happy and safe holiday season. And this was our last meeting with Supervisor McNeely, but fortunately she wasn't able to make it. But I just want to thank her for her years of service to the township. And it's 9:30, so I hope everyone gets home safe. Thank you all.
Jimmy?
Second, I just also wanted to say, the e-bikes, the discussion with that earlier today, just, you know, just really keep that in mind and spread the word. But Happy New Year, Happy Holidays.
Persky? Sorry.
I just want to thank the fire department for handling a pretty significant fire on Hoover this past week. And I know there was a person they had to rescue, and I don't know the status of that person, but they're in the hospital. And thank them for what they do and keep us safe every day.
I also just want to comment that while Tessie McNeely could not attend this evening, I want to recognize her as she concludes her tenure on the Board of Supervisors. This is our last meeting for the year. We do appreciate the commitment and service that she's shown to Lower Gwinnett. We want to extend our best wishes to her as she moves forward in her retirement and all that comes next. Again, we want to thank all of our staff, Public Works, our police, our fire, EMS, for all that they've done, because there's been a lot of activity over the past few weeks since our last meeting. Thank you for all that you do for our township and for our neighbors. And for my neighbor on Hoover Road, I hope that, you know, he recovers swiftly. And I'm glad to see that there were no casualties as it related, any fatal casualties as it related to that fire. I want to wish everyone happy holidays. And we'll see you in the new year. With that, I'd like to make a motion to adjourn. Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Meeting is adjourned. Thank you, guys.